Masechet Baba Batra, Daf Mem Gimel. On the previous daf, Shemuel made the statement that partners, they jointly own a piece of land, they can make a chazakah one to the other. One says, look, I'm here this whole time and I'm using it, and you didn't protest, and he can claim that the other guy sold him his half of the share. And he also says that two partners, if one of them gets sued by someone else and says, hey, this is not your land, the other partner can testify on his behalf, and we don't call that that he's an interested party. We're going to discuss this further today. And he also said that two partners can be, if they're watching a field, their joint field, they are responsible as a shomer sachar, and we'll discuss this as well. Now, Shemuel said these three statements, but then he also said what looks like a contradictory statement, that shutaf keyored birshut dameh, that a partner is permitted to go to the other side of the field that he jointly owns, right? If we share a field, and even if I have this half and you have that half, I am permitted to go and do stuff on your half, and it's considered someone that has permission. So we also said that. Now, we already discussed a contradiction. It seems that how can you have a chazakah on each other if you have permission to go on that person's land? Generally, someone who can go on someone else's land, that's why he's there, and the other person would not protest. So how can it be both? And we gave already two answers to answer that question. So that we dealt with. Now we have a gufa, Amar Shemuel, shutaf kyored b'shut dameh. We're going to analyze this particular statement further. Mai kamash malan. What is Shemuel teaching us by telling us that partners are considered someone who has permission to go into someone's land? There are lots of people that have permission like that. Let's say you're a gardener. You hire him to go onto your property, so you're not going to sue him, and he cannot make any claim. Oh, look, see, I come here every week, so this is mine or anything. So he has permission. The sharecroppers have permission. Maybe a repairman, a housekeeper. There's lots of people that you expect to come onto someone's property. So what is the significance of this statement of Shemuel? What is he teaching us thereby? Shutafut en lo chazaka, lema shutaf en lo chazaka. If he wants to tell us that a partner cannot make a chazaka on the field of the jointly owned field, because since he has permission to go there, just like a sharecropper, he goes and consumes the field all the time for many years, but he cannot claim a chazaka because he's a sharecropper. That's the deal that they made, that is permitted. That's why the owner did not protest, although we saw earlier in the Talmud that the owner should protest before 3 years, so that the sharecropper cannot claim that, right? But generally, if someone has permission to be there, then that lose the chazakah. So I would know that anyway. That happens to be Shemuel does actually say that partners can make a chazakah against the other, but we resolved that already yesterday. But anyway, what's the point of saying this? If he wants to teach that a partner cannot make a chazakah, so then say so. Lema shutef en lo chazakah. Say that outright. And in any case, Shemuel doesn't actually think that. It depends on the case, as we saw yesterday. So back to the original question, what does Shemuel mean to teach us when he says that a partner is someone who can enter the other partner's field with permission? Amar Rav Nachman, Amar Rabba bar Avu lomar, shenotel b'shevach hamagia lichtefayim, besadeh shena asuya lita kesadeh asuya lita. Rav Nachman said the name of Rabba, the son of Abu. This teaches us that let's say we're partners. I have the west side, you have the east side, and we split. We didn't split. We share the whole thing, but I'm using this side, you're using that side. If I would go to your side without your permission and plant stuff and improve the land, and it would grow, and let's say I invest $100 on your side of the land, and then it grows something and it's worth $1,000. So in that case, even though I went and did it without permission, I get $500. I get the equal share of the profits. Now, this is not true in general for someone who does not have permission. If we are not partners, I just go into your field without permission, without asking you, and I plant something and I improve your land, and I invest $100 in your land, and it grows $1,000. Because I did it without permission, I can claim something, you did benefit, but I can only claim $100 that I put into it. I cannot claim the $1,000, no share of only the $100 that I put in. So that makes a difference whether it's with permission or without permission. So the point of Shemuel is that partners, even though I didn't ask expressly for permission to come to your side of our joint property, nevertheless, because we're partners, so it's assumed that if I come in and do something on your land, then I get to split the profit, and that is true whether it's land that is used generally for planting or not. If it's nice, good land that's used for planting, or it's land that you wouldn't normally plant trees there because the land isn't so good. But if I do, either way, I get half. In general, if I don't have permission, then it'll make a difference. If it's not used for planting, if it's used for planting, I'll get the wages back. If it's not used for planting, then I'll get the expenses back. But the point is that if I come without permission, I get just a minimal amount. And so this is considered with permission, even though you didn't say it's with permission, but we're partners. And that is what Shemuel wanted to teach us by saying this statement. Okay, good. So now we clarified that. Now we go to Shemuel's other statement where he says three things. And the first one, the second one is, he said the chazakah one, we talked about that. And he says, u'me'idin ze lazeh. He says, one partner can testify on behalf of the other. So again, let's say we have a joint land. I use the west side, you use the east side, and someone comes along and sues you and says, hey, this land is mine. And what are you doing on my land? It's mine. Now, I have testimony that can help you out. So Shemuel says, I am allowed to testify and say, oh no, this land really belongs to my partner, to you, and thereby get this other claimant out of there. And the question is, why would that be allowed? Amai nogin be'edutan hen. After all, I am an interested party. I have what to gain by getting this claimant out of the way, because if he comes and claims my partner's land, then he's likely to come and claim my land as well. If he was the real owner of this land, and we bought it or acquired it somehow, and it was not a true acquisition, if he's claiming that my partner doesn't own his part of the land, then he's going to come after my land also. So I'm an interested party in coming and testifying about his side of the land, and generally an interested party is not allowed to testify. So why is it permitted here? Shemuel's only talking about a very limited case where I say, regarding my side of the land, I have no legal dealings with it. I give up ownership and responsibility for my land, and I write that down, and I say, you know what, I'm going to give my whole land to my partner, and therefore I have nothing to do with it, and I'm no longer an interested party. So I don't care what happens to it. In that case, since I'm no longer an interested party, that's where Shemuel said I can testify, but not if I actually still own half the land. Okay, we question this. V'chi katab lo may have hatanya. Haomer lechavero dinu dvarim en li al sadeh zo, ve'en li asek ba, ve'yadayim mesulakot hemena lo amar kelum. But hold on, what does it help even if I write that down? It shouldn't matter, because we have a braita that says if I say to my friend, it doesn't matter if I say it or write it. Either way, if I say or write, I have no legal dealings regarding this field, or I have no business with this field. He writes, my hands are removed from this field. I don't care about it. I'm not dealing with it. I'm not the owner anymore. We ignore that statement. He hasn't done anything, because he hasn't done an action to transfer the property over to someone else. And this is very important, because it could be that there'll be responsibility for this. Let's say there's a hole, a pit in that land, and it causes damage just because I said, oh, I don't care about the land. But no, anything that is a liability, I'm still responsible for. So it's not sufficient just to say or write, oh, it's not mine. And therefore, it's still considered yours. You're still responsible for it. and therefore you're still an interested party. And so that person could not testify. So there's not a sufficient answer. So we try again. We're talking about a case where the partner that's being the witness actually made an acquisition. They did a kinyan chalipin, they gave him a handkerchief, and he transferred his share of the property to the other partner, the one who's being sued. And now the one who gave away his property with the transaction is no longer an interested party, and that's why he can testify. Okay, sounds like a good answer. But now he says, no, even if you did a transaction, still the witness, the partner who's going to be a witness, still is an interested party, because he can still use this land that he transferred away for his creditor. So let's say I'm the one that's making this, I want to be a witness to help you out. You're my partner. And so let's say I had a creditor. I owed someone $1,000. Before this whole thing happened, I owed him money. All right, so that's an outstanding loan. And now I have this land and I transfer it to you. Okay, so you have it. Now you're saying I'm not an interested party, but actually I am, because if that creditor comes to me and when the loan is due and I don't have money to pay for it, he can come after that land, because I owned that land at the time that land had a lien on it to him. And so when he comes, he'll be able to collect from that property, and then you took that property and I'll be off the hook. So actually it benefits me to know that that property is in your hands, my partner, because if that's the guy who sues, it says, oh, it's not your land at all, and he takes all property, well then it was never yours, it was never mine, and I won't be able to use it to pay my creditor. So actually, even if I transfer it to you, I still in my interest to establish that it is in fact yours and was in fact ours, and that my lien continues on it so I can pay that guy back. So this is not a sufficient answer. I still am an interested party. And we prove this from the following statement. Amar Ravin bar Shemuel mishmei de Shmuel, hamocher sadeh lechavero shelo ba'achrayut en me'id lo aleha mipnei shema'amida bifnei ba'al chobo. Ravin, the son of Shemuel, said in the name of Shemuel, so Shemuel himself, who we're talking about, says that if I sell to you my field and I do it without a guarantee, the idea is that I'm selling, it's a final sale. If something happens to that land, if my creditor who has a lien on the land takes it, I'm not paying you back. It's not my problem. Assuming that's the case, I cannot testify about that field on your behalf, because I want to use it for the creditor. So I am an interested party. Even though I sold it, I'm not the owner anymore, I still want to make sure that this sale is valid and that I owned it and that you own it now. It's in my interest to make sure that you own it so that the creditor can come and take it from you. Otherwise, he's going to continue coming after me, and I'll be called a rasha, that I didn't pay back the loan. So we see from here that even transferring the land to my partner, still, I'm not out of the woods. I'm still an interested party. But that's if I don't have responsibility for it without a guarantee. So we answer. Oh, in fact, we're talking about a case where I transfer the land to you and I accept responsibility. If someone takes it, that my creditor takes it, then I will pay you for it. And therefore, it doesn't really matter to me whether it's yours or not, and whether I testify or not makes no difference. Because if it's really yours, because it was ours, and when we bought it as partners, it was really ours, and therefore when I transfer it to you, it's really yours, and therefore the creditor, when he comes, he'll come and collect it. But I'm going to have to pay you back anyway for it, so I'm going to still have to pay the loan. So I have to pay the loan in that case. And if it turns out that this guy who sues takes it away, and it was never ours and it was never yours, so I still have to pay the creditor back. I'll have to pay him in some other way. And so it really doesn't matter to me whether this land remains yours or is taken away, and therefore I can testify, right? Because I'm not an interested party. Because I guaranteed the sale, therefore I'm going to have to pay one way or another. Or if I have no money, then I'm going to be called a rasha one way or another. And so it doesn't really make a difference to me whether you have the land, it's properly yours or not. Therefore, I can testify. Now we just clarify the exact nature of this responsibility. Achrayut deman, what kind of guarantee did I give? If it's talking about a guarantee from the whole world, if I gave you an absolute comprehensive guarantee, whatever happens, I'm selling you this land, and anything that happens to the land, even if it's not from my creditor, even if someone else comes and somehow repossesses it from you, like this guy who's claiming it, I will pay you. If that's the case, then I am an interested party. I want to make sure that guy who's claiming it, who's suing you, does not take it, because if he takes it, I'm going to have to pay you for the value of the land, and I don't want to do that. So then I am an interested party in making sure to testify that it's yours, and then that would not be okay. Rather, it must be a case where I guarantee that if it's taken away because of me, because of my debt, then I'll pay you. In that case, I am not an interested party, because it really doesn't matter to me. I owe that guy $1,000. Now, if he comes and I don't have the money, so he'll come. If the land is in your hands, he'll come and take the land from you, and then I'll have to pay you. And if the land is not in your hand because that guy sued and took it away from you, then I'll have to pay him from a different land or from somewhere else. And so it doesn't matter to me. I'm going to have to pay that guy one way or the other. And therefore, I actually can testify, because I get no benefit from testifying that it is yours. And therefore, I'm not an interested party. Okay, good. So we accept this answer that as long as I remove one of the partners who's testifying, if I'm that partner, if I remove myself from ownership, then I can testify about it, right? As long as done in a way that I have no benefit from this land remaining in your property. Okay, so now we ask about that. Now, is it true that as long as I remove myself from the property, then that's it, I'm removed and I'm not called an interested party? We're going to ask challenge this from 3 different baraitot. והתניא, בני העיר שנגנב ספר תורה שלהן, אין דנין בנייני אותה העיר, ואין מביאים ראיה מאנשי אותה העיר, ואם איתה לסלקו בתרי מיניהו ולדיינו. If there's a people of a city and they jointly own a Sefer Torah, right? Because everybody has a part in the Sefer Torah, and now it gets stolen. And so now we need judges to adjudicate this case, right? So who stole it, to investigate. They have someone that they're claiming stole it. So the judges of that city cannot be judges because they are interested parties. And also, we cannot bring any of the people in this city to testify, right? Oh, I was there. I saw that this guy is the thief. We cannot bring a proof from anybody in the city because they're all interested parties. Since they all have a share, right? The Sefer Torah is worth $10,000. 1,000 people in the city, everybody has a $10 share in this Sefer Torah. So it's in their interest to say, oh, this guy is the thief, and make him pay, because otherwise they're going to be out that money. Now, so they have to find judges, they have to bring judges from a different city who are not interested, because even the judges that live in that city have a share in it, and they have to bring, right, witnesses from a different city who have no share in this Torah. Now, that's the end of the Braita. Here's our proof. If it's true that one can remove himself from ownership of an item and then testify, so why don't we have 2 of the judges will say, listen, we are relinquishing our share in the Sefer Torah. It's not ours anymore. We're giving it over to other people. And then now since they're not owners, they're no longer interested parties, and then they could be the judges. So why don't we have that? Wouldn't that be a simple solution? And so the answer is Shane Sefer Torah de lishmi'ah ka'eh. No, Sefer Torah is not like any other publicly owned item, since the Sefer Torah is there for people to listen to hear the Torah reading on every week. So everybody has to have a share in it. It's automatic that everybody is actually quite a beautiful line that since the Torah is public and everybody has a requirement to come and listen to the Torah and everybody benefits from the city owning a Sefer Torah, so there's no such thing as relinquishing your ownership over it. What do you mean you relinquish your ownership? So now, what, you're not going to hear Sefer Torah? No, you're still obligated. You still get benefit from it. So therefore, there's no such thing as relinquishing ownership over Torah, which is just a beautiful Musad lesson that's embedded here within this halachic discussion. Okay, so that answers it. A Sefer Torah is different because you cannot relinquish ownership over a Sefer Torah, but other things like land, yes, you can relinquish ownership and then you can testify. Okay, next question from the next baraita. Tashema. Haomer tenu maneh libnei iri. En danin bedayane ota ha'ir ve'en mebi'in re'aya me'anshe ota ha'ir. Amai lisaliku betirei nafshahu ve'lidayenu. If someone says on his deathbed, I want to give $100 to the residents of my city. I want to donate to the public good for the city. And then there's a dispute. The heirs say, no, he didn't say that. He did say that. How much? Okay, there's a dispute and we need judges. The judges cannot be from that city because he donated to the general welfare of the city and these judges live in the city. They stand to benefit, right? Maybe he donated, a new fountain and they want a new fountain in the city. And we cannot bring testimony from the people of that city because they will be witnesses who are interested parties. Now we ask, why? Why can't you just get two judges who will remove themselves? Let's say they're donating to a fountain on this side of the city. You get judges who live on the other side that aren't going to use that water fountain, right? So no, we won't benefit from it. And therefore, they're not interested parties, and then they could be proper judges. So our answer is Hachaname b'Sefer Torah. Here also is talking when he said, I'm donating to the city, he didn't mean for a water fountain, he meant for a Sefer Torah. And because it's a Sefer Torah, so same thing like we said before, one cannot relinquish ownership of a share in a Sefer Torah. And therefore, everybody in the city are interested parties in having it there. Next question, Tashema. Hamer tenu maneh le'aniye iri en danin bedayane ota ha'ir. Someone on his deathbed says, I want $100 to be given to the poor of the city. So, and now there's a dispute with the heirs. He said that or he didn't say that. So here also the Braita says the judges who live in that city cannot be the judges. Nor can the people that live there be witnesses because they're interested parties. Now we're going to first have to clarify, in what way are they interested parties? They're not poor themselves. Does this make sense? That the poor people are the ones collecting, but the judges, they're not poor, so why should the judges be disqualified? Okay, so we're going to rephrase the Baraita, and what it actually means to say is that we do not use judges that are from the poor of that city, nor do we bring witnesses that are from the poor of that city, because these judges or witnesses are themselves poor. They stand to gain from these funds that are being donated to the charity fund. And since they stand to gain, they are interested parties, and therefore they cannot be judges or witnesses. Good. Now we understand the Braita. Ve'amai listaliku betirei nafshahu ve'lidayenu. Now we ask, why not? Why don't they remove themselves? Two of the poor judges will say, listen, we won't benefit, we won't take charity from this $100 that this guy is donating. No matter what, we're not going to take it. And then they won't be interested parties anymore, and therefore they can be judges. Hachaname b'Sefer Torah. And our answer is, this Baraita also is talking about the guy who said, I want to give to the poor people of the city. He was actually also meant that he wants to donate towards buying a Sefer Torah. And people, as we already said, you cannot withdraw your share from a Sefer Torah. Now, how does this fit with the words of the Baraita? V'amai kari lehu aniim. Why does it say, I want to give to the poor of the city, right, when he just wants to donate a Sefer Torah? How does donating to the poor mean donating a Sefer Torah? And the answer is Dakol es el Sefer Torah aniim hem. Everybody, when it comes to a Sefer Torah, are poor. Maybe because it's very expensive, and who could afford a Sefer Torah? Or if you don't have a Sefer Torah in the city, then everybody is impoverished, even if they're they're wealthy financially, they are impoverished spiritually and educationally by not having a Sefer Torah. So what he meant is, listen, I want to donate $100 to the poor people of the city. These poor people have no Torah. That's why they're poor. They're poor in their knowledge. And so that's what he meant. And so in fact, this is talking about a Sefer Torah as well. All right, now this is a little bit of a forced interpretation. So we have another interpretation. We can go back to the plain understanding of that braita, that a guy on his deathbed says, I want to donate $100 to the poor of the town. And the Mishnah said that nobody in the town can be the judges and nobody can be the witnesses. They all have to benefit. So we asked, what, is everybody poor? What does this mean? Oh, so the answer is, in fact, we're talking about regular poor, actual poor people that he wants to donate to. He wants to donate to a charity fund for poor people, not a Sefer Torah. And we're dealing with a city where it's the responsibility that's incumbent upon all the residents to come up with funds to pay to the charity. In other words, everybody agrees, right? Everybody in the city is going to donate to the charity fund, and thereby the poor people will be supported from that charity fund. Now, if someone on his deathbed comes and says, I'm going to donate $1 million to the charity fund, then that certainly benefits the poor people, but actually it benefits even more all the other people who have to donate, because now they won't have to donate. Actually, the poor people are going to get their sustenance anyway, right? They already get, the budget of the charity fund is, let's say, $1 million for the whole city, right? That provides for them. If one guy on his deathbed gives $1 million, then the people of the city don't have to pay anything. So they are all interested parties. It's the givers that are interested the parties, not even more than the poor people, because the givers are the ones that have to come up with the money. The poor people are going to get it one way or the other. Okay, so that's the answer. Now we just clarify what's the system of their tax collection for the charity fund. So what's is it a place where everybody has to pay a fixed amount, right? During on the beginning of the year, on the high holidays, everybody has to give $1,000. 1,000 people, they come up with $1 million. If that's the case, so then you can have two people that say, we're going to pay the $1,000 anyway, no matter what, how this case is judged, and then they can be the judges because they are not interested parties. Since they already paid, it doesn't matter to them if they judge that this guy's money will go to the charity fund or will go to the heirs, so they can be impartial. So that case would not work. Because we can find two people who will basically relinquish their benefit by donating the fixed amount. Rather, we're talking about a city where there's no fixed amount. As the need comes in, they continually collect money. Oh, there's more poor people, so they could collect more. So it's not like you could just say, well, I'll donate this sum. We don't know how much the sum is going to be. And therefore, everybody in the city would benefit from this donation coming into the charity fund, and therefore nobody can be the judges or witnesses. Or you can go back to this answer. Maybe in fact there is a fixed amount that everybody donates $1,000 every year, but nevertheless there is a gain, because if there's a surplus in the charity funds, then that's good for everybody. All right, we'll have people can get more. And maybe there'll be a surplus for the following year. And so if there's more money, then it will definitely be good. And therefore, even the guy who says, I'll give $1,000 anyway, still it's a benefit to the whole city. If this guy who died, who gives $1 million, it benefits everyone, even the person who is giving the fixed amount. Okay, that concludes that section, and now we'll just do one more statement of Shemuel. V'nasin shomrei sachar zeh lazeh. That if we jointly own a field, and I use the west side and you use the east side, so we are considered shomer sachar, a paid watchman for each other, which means that we'll have that high level of responsibility if something happens while to the field while I'm there, or whether you're there watching my side of the field or I'm watching your side of the field. Now we ask, Amai shemira bebalim hi? Why should I be responsible? This should be considered watching something when the owner of the item is under my employment. The Torah says, is a rule, that if I'm watching your ox, and you happen to be working for me also at the same time, then I am not responsible if something happens to it. That's the Torah law. In this case, since we are basically watchmen for each other, I watch your half and you watch my half. So you are under my employment, and at the same time, I'm under your employment because we're both watching each other's parts of the land, because we're partners. And therefore, we should both not be responsible, not be obligated to pay, because we are under each other's employment while we are also watching. So how do you answer this? Amar Papa, Damar le, Shemor li hayom, v'ani eshmor lecha lemachar. The Papa says Shemel's statement is true in a case where we say, I'll watch the whole field today, and you watch the whole field tomorrow. And since we split the time, so today, that's it. You are not working for me today. I'm watching the whole field, and therefore I'm responsible, and I'm getting benefit from this, because tomorrow you're gonna watch it. So since we get benefit from it, it's like a shomer sachar, and you're not working for me because you don't have to watch it today, and therefore I'm fully responsible today. And then tomorrow, when you're fully responsible, I am not working for you because I'm off. And therefore, we both have the responsibility of a shomer sachar, each on the day when we are watching the field. The next section goes into a long discussion that continues on to the next daf, so we'll stop here. Baruch Adonai leolam, amen ve'amen.